and how we went up against what was commonly known as science. And we said, we think that we've done better, so we will rewrite history. Then we stood our ground and we have rewritten history. And that's why this will be one of the most quoted papers in the Omega profession ever. So congratulations.
Thank you. And speaking on that, the data and the power we have, especially now when we also are published and are going to keep publishing, I would like to present you what we are working on right now, which is one of my heart projects, as many of you know. So for 2 years ago, we launched the maternity kit, and that was a decision because we have so many affected or have a pregnant wife, daughter, mother, etc., sister, and we didn't have target reference values, but we wanted to gather all the information about nutritional intake and what to think about and how to test and when not to test according to our knowledge. So we created this kit with this code that you could scan and come directly to the maternity page and get all the information. But what many of you don't know is that we also launched questions on the web questionnaire for pregnant women. So we have been gathering data now for 2 years to leverage data to create target levels in fatty acid profiling. And why we have focused on this area with maternity health is that maternity health is a growing market with increased demand for science-based insights tailored to pregnancy and breastfeeding. And the potential vision that I have is that we are going to be the first in the field to provide personalized fatty acid target values for pregnancy and breastfeeding, empowering mothers and enhancing our competitive position. And as I said, it's 2 years since launch. We have been holding up on telling you about this for about 6 months. So my data is for 1.5 years, but I can always download more and include because it's going to just grow and grow our database with pregnancy. We have about 5,000 pregnant and breastfeeding women from 1.5 years ago. And what we can see, if we just look at the balance value, is as expected according to literature that you will have a worse balance when you are in the later trimesters. So this is for non-supplement group. And when we look at people saying that they are already taking an omega-3 supplement, we still see these unbalanced values, also with the worst in the 3rd trimester. But what's interesting is that if you look at the median values for BalanceOil users, we do see slight differences in the phase 2 and 3, but they are nowhere near how it looks in the other groups. What I've been looking at with this data, the 2 main questions that we need to answer in order to be able to have some kind of balanced target values is the primary one. Does pregnancy distort the balance values in the 3rd trimester? Because it is the 3rd trimester that always have been unknown how it affects. And secondary, what are the natural variations in fatty acid profiles caused by pregnancy, and what are BalanceOil specific effects? And just looking at the balance again, here in another way, I will present this in so many ways in the future so you really understand how it actually affects, but the results relieve that we see distinct advantages for BalanceOil use in terms of omega-3 levels, the balance, which I always call the AA to APA ratio, but it's the balance value I'm talking about. And also stability across physiological states. Stability without, I mean, it doesn't vary a lot. We don't see a large increase during the third trimester. This looks very complicated and detailed, and it is, and I will not go into this too much because as you know, I want you to leave all of these complicated questions to me. So I just want to show you that I know these details, and then you can just refer to me if others have questions. But we have seen that the arachidonic acid, the omega-6 that's in the balance, follow a very universal pattern. So this is the pregnancy-related changes. So regardless of what supplement you take, you will see a slightly increased level during the first trimester, normal, because the body is upregulating. And then you will see how it decreases and becomes quite low in the third trimester. And that is because of the transfer to the baby. And then you will see that you recover the same values, a bit lower maybe, but around the same values when you are breastfeeding. So that's universal pattern. What's not universal, what you can actually affect with your diet is, for example, the EPA, one of the omega-3s. And there's so many interesting things in this picture. I will give you a hint, and that is that we see like a stabilization of EPA having this increase in the first trimester, which is because we already have so much EPA in this green line, the BalanceOil users, which just upregulates and also becomes DHA in the body because it can convert to DHA, which is especially needed. So you will see it drop and stabilize to the third trimester. And what's really interesting is that you will also have this recovery or increase. And what all of this means, or what it leads to, is the most important fatty acid for pregnancy. The fatty acids that's talked about everywhere in the research and also in marketing is the DHA. DHA levels are the one that you measure in. It's not the only fatty acid you want, but that's like the reference point in pregnancy. And what we see is that it not only rises a lot and also have high levels already in the BalanceOil group in the first trimester, it starts to decrease earlier. Already in the second trimester, we see that it decreases. But for all the other ones, it increased to second trimester. And according to the literature, it's because of an earlier transfer to the baby. So when the body feels it has enough, it can start being transferred to the baby, which will end up having more DHA during all of these developmental phases. And the body regulates so that the mother also does not get too low levels. So most also interesting thing is that if you see at breastfeeding mothers, we actually see a slight increase from the third trimester. And this is so important because in almost all studies that you see, they always talk about this big drop during breastfeeding. All of the DHA that's lost during in the breast milk to the baby because it's so important. But studies also say that they do see these conditions when the mother have enough levels already and you don't see the drop and the child gets enough during also the whole breastfeeding period, which also means that the mother is not getting depleted. So very exciting results for the BalanceOil and the pregnancy concept. Yes, this is also the third picture of the balance and how it can be different according to the three trimesters. But BalanceOil users seem to have an earlier onset of DHA transfer during pregnancy and during breastfeeding.
That's kind of like smarter babies in a way.
Yeah, we have been talking about the balanced babies, and here you see what we are talking about. So it's very, very positive and interesting. And this also creates a milieu in the body that's stable with the balance values across the whole trimester. This is just to show that we have other variations in this is saturated fatty acids that are pregnancy specific. And that's why we feel very strongly that we want to have target values for pregnancy. So when you fill out that you're pregnant, then you should also get the results that doesn't say that you have too high saturated fats when you don't. So if we look at the competitors, we have, fellow test sellers. We have one major competitor providing DHA targets for blood DHA levels or red blood cells DHA and have a target of above 5%. The thing is with this is that they lack the flexibility of accounting for these 3 different trimesters because the reference values are not the same from the first trimester to the third trimester. And also, other fatty acids, this is only the DHA, but I showed you that a lot of different fatty acids differ through these trimesters. An opportunity that we see that we have and that we're working towards right now is to use our proprietary data that we can go further and also create these individualized levels. So for example, this is not final. This is only me playing around to show you and give you the vision. So this is not the final versions. It's important to say. But this is an example of how it could look like. And we also have the maternity balance program, which we can only or strengthen now with the test and the reference values. And the last words I would like to say is why this matters for us, for Zinzino, is that we could have the first mover advantage and be the first to provide tailored pregnancy and breastfeeding target values. And that will also enhance the product value and strengthen our fatty acids tests and supplements with the actionable insights for maternal health and our also market leadership, which we already have, but more, and position ourselves to the go-to source for maternal health knowledge and also customer trust to build this loyalty by addressing the unique needs of mothers. And that is what I would like to share. This is insights and not yet finalized, but this is one of the many things we're working with.
Thank you, Dr. Emmalee. Elena was commenting that we also get smarter moms, but I could see on that data that we get happier moms when they're breastfeeding. And I think that that could lead us down the line later on to some really really interesting insights and maybe some studies in that area.